anybody who's watching.
Hello, everyone. Oh, yeah, there's my dog.
Don't forget your mic.
Oh, shit. I know, I gotta go plug the mic.
Oh, yeah, it's not plugged in.
Durr.
Should have said something before you moved away.
Hey, that's me. Yeah, this is the production value that you come for. You've come to, That is us. We are the freest podcast broadcast around. Free in every way, right?
Yeah.
How we doing, kids? Put the Twitters away. Fire this up. I'm actually warm today.
That's the first.
Yeah, hey, there we are.
Hey, indeed.
Let's share that real quick. Okay. Hold on. Almost there. Pop that. Drop it like it's hot. You ready to rock?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Kinetic Chaos Podcast number 74. I am your host, Will, joined as always by my good friend, Wes.
Right here I am.
He is to my left. We are in the sub. I'm turning the levels down, pushing buttons. I didn't have the mic plugged in. The whole works. It's as you can see, we're back on Mondays. We are going back to 2 shows per week. A little bit different though, right?
Yep, that's right.
So this is going to be the setup, everyone. Mondays we're going to be serious because Mondays deserve serious talk, right?
But keeping a little lighthearted in the second half, so we'll go half serious, half fun.
Exactly.
Kind of like we've been doing on Thursdays.
Not too crazy, but then our new show on Thursday is going to be a dad's more, I don't want to say male, I don't want to sound sexist like that, but as Platinum Moms is more geared towards the moms and the females, we are going to be on the flip side of that. But of course, with us, we won't be nearly as polished or have as well thought out ideas, anything like that. Yeah. It's just, but we will have a show. It's not just going to be, flying off the rails. Well, we will fly off the rails, but we'll have some semblance of a show put together. So the Monday show, more politics, serious business, that kind of coverage. Like I said, not too super serious all the time, but that side of stuff. And then the Thursday show will be, that's where we're going to get into the food, the cooking, the sports, more of that kind of stuff. So that way you don't have to parse your show if you only want the fun stuff or you don't only want the serious stuff. Now you're going to have one place for each of those. So, but the one thing that you will notice is that this will be the Monday show we are going to begin doing on via the online. Wes will be at his sub. And we'll be doing the show on Facebook Live that way.
Doing it remotely.
Yes, remotely. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, so, as we always like to do, we want to start with something good that happened to us since the last time recorded, which has been a week ago last Thursday.
Yeah.
What has happened good to you?
Is that, and it's good timing because I see my wife just jumped on, it's that we booked a 3-day weekend at the beach in Seaside in mid-August. So
really? Yeah, you were telling me about
back
that.
There and have some fun with the kids, running around in the sand, and cool little house. It's a 2-bedroom house, a whopping 900 square feet.
Nice. Where is it?
It's like,
you said it was in Seaside, right?
Yeah, it's on, what is that, 5th or whatever. It's like 3 or 4 blocks, 5 blocks north of the main drag.
Okay.
Anyways, walking distance to everything, the beach, all the shops and all that kind of stuff. And it's got, cool bonuses, it's got a fully fenced backyard.
Oh, very nice.
So the kids can just go run around.
I thought you were going to say for your new dog that you got.
Yeah.
Right, Tia?
Not yet.
No, new dogs yet?
Yeah.
Very soon? No.
When we get a house in the backyard.
Well, I know.
We'll
I'm just
you into that.
Yeah, I'm just poking the bear. You know how I like to do that. Well, I've had last week was just kind of crazy, but for me the best thing happened is, and this is not a good thing in that it was good in what happened, but Derek's basketball team actually lost. But I say that it was good in that it taught them some humility, and I thought that, and it was actually, that was the Thursday before I think we did our last show. I don't remember. Anyway, so then they came back because that's what you want to, you want to see how the team does when they bounce back. So then we played up at Ridgefield. Ridgefield has some pretty darn good teams, and they went up there and they put the whooping on them.
Wow!
And so the big thing is that Derek continues to grow in his gameplay and stuff like that. So anyway, but it was neat to see them bounce back. And we're making noise. Let's turn that off. Anyway, see how the kids bounce, because they were getting, pretty impressed with themselves out there. They thought they were good, and they got smoked by Woodland.
Wow.
We went up to Woodland, and they got the tar beat out of them. And so to come back, and that's exactly right. We do learn far more from defeats, and they learned that they started actually running plays. Oh. And the one crazy thing about how I think it's probably kids basketball in general is that the way that the game is officiated is so random. Like the first game probably took dang near an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes because they were whistling everything.
Nonstop stoppage of the play.
Yeah, exactly. Clock, yeah. And then we had one where it was, I think Derek came out of it with bruises. And there was maybe like 5 fouls called in the entire game. So you get this back and forth where sometimes it's just whatever goes. They're dang near traveling with the ball, and then other times they're just out doing, they're well paced, and if it's really bad, and then they got some that it's like swallow the whistle, bud. This is not the NBA. We don't need. Yes, he took a Euro step, but you can pump the brakes a little bit. So, yeah, I just like to see how they bounce back from that, and the coach. With the snow, but see now this week I was telling you that they rescheduled some stuff. He has 3 games this week in a row.
Whoa!
Yeah, bang, bang, bang. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wow,
Friday, of course, being up in Castle Rock. How exciting is that? Friday afternoon at Castle Rock. At least it's not in can you imagine if it was in I don't know, Lake Oswego or something?
White salmon.
No, I would take that.
Yeah,
it's not that. It's just the traffic.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the worst part. But as long as I don't have to fight the traffic, it's not as big a deal. And this is then he has a game Monday, so it's 4 games in a row, and then I think he's done. Then the season's over, unless they schedule. There's a chance they may schedule 1 more game the following week. So enough about 7th grade youth basketball. We have a good news story here, which I wish I had this kind of money to throw around. Yeah. It's a fighter from Britain he won $3.5 million in the fight. It was a kickboxing fight, and then he won a bunch more. And then what did he do with the money?
Yeah, so it's a total of $9 million. I think because there was extra stuff kicked in for the pay-per-view revenue and stuff like that. So ended up with a total of $9 million, and he donated it all to a couple different charities, one of which helped the homeless and one of which helps folks dealing with substance abuse. So for a premier fighter over in England to win $9 million and just give it all away, that's huge.
Well, he won it over here, I believe.
Correct.
His name was Tyson Fury
in L.A. or something.
And I thought, right? how appropriate a last name as a fighter is Fury, but. So what sparked it was that he flew to LA and saw what all the homeless folks and stuff like that, where, I'm sure they deal with the same thing, but he overcame addiction and things like that. And I guess he's 30 now, that's getting old in the fighting game, although unless you're Randy Couture, but give $9 million away. And he did not tell anyone.
Right.
Somebody asked him about it, which I thought was pretty cool as well. Yeah. So that's neat. $9 million. If you're gonna go ahead and drop that on somebody and not, like you said, I'm no do-gooder or something like. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But you are a do-gooder if you're giving all of your purse from I guess it was a fairly controversial fight.
Oh, I didn't read the backstory.
I had never. Yeah, I had never heard of him, but I'm not. I don't follow kickboxing, although I find it to be rather entertaining. It's just, we don't see it. We see MMA and boxing is such a dying art.
Yeah, no kidding. That's kind of taken.
Remember when you were a kid and boxing was, whether it was Tyson was a complete, he was a show. He was like the beginning of the disaster era
Mayweather
sports. Well, not even just boxing, but just like the over the top. Then you had Dennis Rodman, and then you had guys like that where instead of like the sport getting the show, they were the show.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, when he lost to Buster, and that was, I guess from reading that, you know where that happened 30 years ago?
Whoa.
I think they just did the 30 for 30. I believe it was either 25 or 30 years ago.
That's crazy.
Doesn't that make you feel old?
No kidding.
It should make you feel old. So, well, let's get into the hut sheet. Hut. You know what that's from? You don't know because you didn't play football with us. But
sounds like Patrick Mahomes.
No, it was, but it was and I hope maybe he someday will watch us. But Gary Garland was our football coach. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So Mr. Garland was an awesome guy, but he was that quintessential old school football coach, and he had the clipboard down the front of his pants, but he had kind of a high pitched voice, and when he got pissed off, it would go up like another octave or four.
Yeah,
and so he'd get
a little hoarse too.
Well, yeah,
so it was like a combination of a higher pitch and a hoarseness, like he was starting to lose his voice. It's always what it kind of came off as. It was a really interesting combo.
It was a really, and the problem was that it was really funny when he got pissed off. And you know what it's like. Well, you haven't gotten to that point yet where your kids are quite old enough to piss you off to like the 9th degree and they start laughing at you. And you can see the steam like billowing out of your own ears. But then you kind of start laughing along. But in the moment, you're just trying to hold on to that, whatever they did. And that's what we did. Because we couldn't help. One time he called, what did he call Jay? He called Jay like a pud or something like that. We were losing to Camus at Camus, and we're sitting there in the locker room, and Michael, you're getting your butt, you're just being a pud out there. And I can't do his voice, but we just lost it. But yeah, so when we would go up to the line of scrimmage to call plays, he would start, hut, 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 hut. Oh my gosh, sorry, that was a really... Wes need to keep... quit looking at me. Okay, no, it's this mic right here.
So floppy. All right.
Put it on this side right there. Sorry, we have our sound engineer watching right now, and he's telling us what our mic situation is. Thank you very much.
Head on the wrong side of the show today.
Yeah, exactly, right. You're on the wrong side of the the show. It's because it's Monday. Although I did see something today. You know who Seneca is, or who Seneca was? He was a philosopher. He's the foundation of Stoicism.
Like Seneca Wallace.
No, not Seneca Wallace. No, it's like as in Stoicism.
Yeah.
And so I am kind of into that, just reading about it and things like that. So I follow him on Twitter, and it's something that he had today was that it was like winners or something like that don't hate Mondays because they love every day or something, some motivational or whatever platitude. Is that what we called that in 2019? Anyway, so don't know where that came from. But, let's get into the hot sheet here.
Yeah.
When I was reading the notes on this originally, I thought you said government shutdown overrated. That's what that's what my mind thought. But it was a government shutdown was averted. Which is kind of like throwing a grenade over here and watching starting the bonfire over there, because I don't know that it's all going to work out. But go ahead.
No, yeah. So this they came to an agreement on a spending bill, which
agreement is
loosely
term,
which granted $1.4 billion towards the funding of the border wall when Trump was asking north of like 5.7 billion, somewhere in there. So this will get him a whopping 55 miles of border wall, and so obviously that wasn't good enough, and so he sidestepped him and is going to, it did declare a national emergency anyway. And now this is, of course, is going to just get gummed up in the courts for who knows how long. It's just the big dumpster fire. So
I want to we'll cover just the shutdown. I want to get into the other stuff later on, as when we have a little bit more time. But in fact, I believe it was 12 or 12:30 Friday night. I went on a little mini tweet storm about it, that the whole issue. But I was glad to see that they got the funding, so we don't have to go through that any longer, listening to it. The big thing I was concerned about was whether they were going, and I don't know if they followed up on it and actually did it, but whether they were going to fund the contractors back pay.
The last I heard was a no.
That's what I heard as well.
I don't know the final answer.
That's the problem with this news cycle is that we have, probably 10 major things going right now. I mean, it's impossible to constantly juggle all of these major news stories, or what are being fed to us.
Right, exactly.
But no, that was one thing, because I'd heard that he wouldn't sign the bill unless there was no pay for the contractors. Which I mean, what do you think about that? They're workers right alongside all of the government workers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, because I can see both sides of it. But I mean, if you I guess it's part of working for the government. You know the risks involved, and you know if something goes sideways and there's a government shutdown, you could be furloughed. I mean, that's something you kind of know getting into the game in the first place. So
yeah, it's the thing that is weird, not weird, but the thing to keep in mind is that, you know, when you're a contract worker, you're not always working for the government.
Right,
you're going to be, you know, you may be working for the private sector one month, and you could be working for the government the next month, and so, you know, it's tough to kind of plan around that. But, you know, we had I think they said there was 800,000 employees of the federal government that were off during the shutdown, but it was something like 1.6 million contracted workers.
Oh.
My numbers may be off on that a little bit, but I know it was a very, very significant number of people that were contracted. So, I mean, they didn't choose that. I know all of this, you know, we work at will. We can leave our jobs and all that, but
right.
And you can, you know, you got to plan for that kind of stuff, but it's still no, that's very true. So anyway, but no, I was just glad that we didn't have to continue to rehash that, because, I mean, if we're just going to continue to kick the can, and we do continually kick the proverbial can down the road by signing these budgets without a balanced budget, which now we're at 22 trillion.
Yep, I think that's
right.
right.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about in this show, because that is, well, I mean, if you look at what Trump said we'll get into that later, because that was another thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah. So anyway, number 2, El Chapo. I don't know how they found him guilty, but they did.
Yeah, shockingly. So he was found guilty, and of course now we got to sit through the appeals process, because his attorney already said they're going to appeal. But what I found interesting is I wrote down some little factoids here, is that he most likely will go to a supermax prison in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And like the who's who of the criminal world is housed there. Yep.
Well, major...
Yeah. So I pulled up a list of people that we got there. Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber's there. I forget his name. I didn't write his name. The 9/11 mastermind.
Al-Zawahiri?
You know, it's failing me now. Anyway, he's there. The Boston Marathon bomber's there. The guy that did the Atlanta Olympic bombing is there.
Richard. No, it wasn't Richard Jewell.
That was the guy that was.
That was the guy that was framed for it.
Yep. Yeah. The guy that was behind the original World Trade Center bombing back in '93 when they had the underground in the parking garage.
Yeah, when he drove the van in there.
A whole slew of Al-Qaeda members are there. Terry Nichols, the Oklahoma City bomber. The other guy was executed. Terry Nichols was the other half of that duo, so he's there. And then also Robert Hansen, who was the infamous FBI double agent with Russia. They made a movie about him. That was an outstanding movie.
What was the name of that movie, by the way, for everyone listening?
Oh, man. Is it not Frank? That's
you say Frankenstein?
No, I'll look in a second as soon as I finish here. And then numerous drug cartel members and mob bosses are there too. So it's like a who's who of the most infamous criminals in the world all reside in this.
I believe they call it IDX is the nickname for it. But I watched some kind of doc. You know how I love my documentaries, which I'm going to talk about another one here towards the end of this that is just nuts. Anyway, no, I watched a documentary on it. This has been some time ago, but I mean, it's the supermax of all supermaxes,
right?
And it is incredible. I mean, it's the 23-1, I believe, is what it is, and everyone's in solitary and things like that. But it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Isn't it called IDX?
That term sounds familiar, yeah.
But it's up in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's like in the dang Rockies and stuff like that.
Breach
was the name of the movie?
Name of the movie.
Okay,
yeah, it was
I think the name of the actual prison though is IDX.
I think you're
something
right.
like that. So anyway, oh man, there's some bad characters there. You don't want to get messed up with those guys. So,
and they made it sound like pretty much everybody that's there is in solitary. So it's like 23 hours a day you're in your cell. You get to leave.
Yeah, it's 23 in 1.
Go out in the courtyard for an hour a day, and that's all she wrote. So.
Well, and I don't believe that there's any. I don't think you can have any interaction with other inmates.
Right.
I think you can have people in there, which is. I mean, you always want to have something to hold over those guys. That's, people say, oh, you don't give TV to prisoners and things like that, but it's a form of manipulation on the side of the corrections officers. If you give them something, then you have something to take away from them to control their behavior. Otherwise, it just, they'll start a riot.
You've got nothing to lose.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, are you going to kill me now? I mean, I'm here for life, so that's not really a good idea. But no, Chapo went down. There's going to be I think there will be appeals in that he loves to see his name.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the guy that plays him in Narcos Mexico came to I believe it was the last couple of days of the trial,
mm-hmm.
and Chapo just lit up. I mean, he was so excited, shook his hand, all kinds of stuff, and they thought that his own vanity would lead him to go up on the witness stand.
Okay, yeah.
They thought it was going to be his only shot at giving the world his take on what happened. And of course, probably would have been one of the worst ideas in his entire life. But it was so intriguing. I put some stuff up on the last show, I think, on 73, but just incredible, that whole, and you wait. I mean, it's because the cartels aren't stopping.
Yeah, that's for
They're
sure.
only ramping up. So, well, number 3 here is the Senate Intelligence Committee announces no direct evidence of the Russian conspiracy, which I think is a little bit of a clickbait.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's the Senate Intel Committee formed their own investigation, did their own little investigative work, independent of Mueller's investigation, and they came back with kind of a blanket term of no direct evidence. But then, of course, the minority side of the folks on that committee, I'll say, use that as the caveat. There's no direct evidence, but there's plenty of underlying evidence, kind of stuff. So it is what it is. I mean, they're basically saying there's no overt red flags sticking out there.
Well, there's no photographs of Trump and Putin in a back parking lot or something like that. But the whole thing is, to use the old term, all the president's men are being knocked down one by one, with Manafort going down for the rest of his life on Friday. And I mean, he's been hoping for a pardon, but I don't think it'll happen.
No.
I think that's the problem with all these guys. They keep hanging their hats on whether Trump will pardon them, and that's why they, whether it's Stone, whether it's Manafort, whether it's Cohen, all of them, I mean, they are true ride or die.
Yep.
But old Stone got himself in some trouble today. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
So he put up a photograph on IG of Amy Berman Jackson, the judge in the trial, with a reticle in the corner of the picture, sights. And so now he's saying, then he messaged some reporters saying, oh, that was by accident or something like that. But of course, the Twitter mob goes crazy, but it was like, that's probably not what you want, because they gagged his entire team except for him. Did you read about that?
No.
The gag order on his trial?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
But the fact that he can't speak, his entire legal team has been gagged except for him, but he can't speak on the courthouse steps. He can only speak basically where he's going to continue to dig himself a deeper and deeper hole.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, the stuff that he was saying in his response to that, but why would you do that? Why would you put the judge, a photograph of the judge on Instagram with a target.
Yeah.
Or not a target, like a reticle out of a scope.
So yeah.
So that, or a sight. Yeah.
Crosshair kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, this it's everything is going to rely. I mean, all these trials come down to obstruction, and everyone lying to everyone else, whether it's about WikiLeaks or whatever it might be. I mean, they just lie, and then they double, triple, quadruple down on it. So anyway. You got anything else on that, or do you want to get into that a little bit later? I find the whole thing just entirely... It's incredible that these guys... I mean, like Manafort is a perfect example. That guy was living a nice, happy life. Yeah, he was doing some shady business, but, I mean, if you're a billionaire, it seems like that's the in vogue thing to do. Yeah, I mean, I'm not excusing it, but it's the truth. Then he takes the job of the campaign chairman, and it's like, oh... I'm going to light my freedom on fire.
Yeah.
And do you think that the same would be returned to him if, I think that Trump will let him hang. I mean, he is letting him hang.
Yep.
And but they, or all the way back to Flynn.
Yeah.
The lies and Flynn did it to himself. That was the crazy thing, is that guy was going to get probation. But because he pressed it more with the judge says, well, bring me the evidence or something. And the judge's like, well, you've just totally screwed yourself. Because then he saw a bunch of stuff that isn't been seen by the public, I guess. Anyway, the whole thing it's a merry-go-round of a shit show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. Speaking of shit shows, how's about Toys R Us?
Yeah, these things always, I don't know, it's kind of
what
like
is it with Toys R Us and Sears?
It's the whole thing. These companies go under because... And multiple times, some of these companies have multiple bankruptcies, like Sears, and yet
multiple is when you got more bankruptcies than I got fingers.
Yeah, and yet somebody still thinks that there's life left in that dying horse, and let's resurrect it again. So, for those of you who don't know, the story now is the company that bought the assets and intellectual property of Toys R Us during their bankruptcy and liquidation. Is now that entity has some of the former Toys R Us execs as a part of that. So now they think that they can resurrect the brand. At this point, they're trying to just do it as an online only thing, not a storefront deal. But they want to have it back up and running by Christmas time this year is their goal.
Well, so of course, because that's when they make 90% of their profit.
And so the company that bought the intellectual property is called True Kids. But it's spelled TRU, as in Toys R Us, the acronym. So True Kids is the name of this new company that owns the rights. Company. Exactly, that owns the rights to the leftovers of Toys R Us, and they're going to try to resurrect things. But
so the intellectual property by now, it boils down to like you get lunch with Jeffrey and a couple of old school Nintendo games. You had to pull the tickets. Hey, remember how awesome that was?
That's right.
Oh. That was it was such an incredible thing. Like, I can imagine when you left jail getting all your stuff back, because that's what it was like. You took that ticket over to the cage, and there was some mysterious guy behind a very, very well locked up cage of $60 Nintendo plastic cartridges, and handing him that ticket, and he'd give you Excite Bike, and you,
can't wait to get home.
And now I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I still do it to this day.
That's right.
It's just not nearly as fun. So, no, I there's money in it somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's Sears or Toys R Us or whatever, there is a reason that money continues to get thrown at these things, or people are just stupid.
And side tangent I read this morning regarding the Sears deal is that Lampert said his focus on trying to strengthen build up the company back up to have them go forward is he wants to reduce the footprint of the average store, so start moving into smaller spaces. And he said he wants to drastically reduce the clothing and the home goods kind of stuff and focus solely on not solely, but vastly on appliances and tools. He wants to get away from the other
I can see the clothing, because the clothing has never been the linchpin. Right. I mean, I guess, yes, they had Carhartt, which is good, and they had Lee, and they had Dickies. Mm-hmm. All three working men, quote unquote, clothing companies.
Yeah.
but instead of it's not always bigger isn't always better. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Like that commercial. I'm one of the tattoo artists of this. That is such that whole ad campaign.
Oh, it is. But the funny thing is, though, now if he wants to circle back and focus on their core stuff that back in their heyday, like the tools, the Craftsman tools, they've already sold off the licensing to that. So it's not exclusive anymore. So that kind of dumbs down the whole exclusivity of it, where if you wanted the name Craftsman, there's only one place you can go, and that's not the case anymore. So they've lost that exclusivity. So I don't understand how they think that they can capture that mystique back, that market share that people used to come solely to them for the tools.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wonder if there's some kind of retroactive type deal with Craftsman, if they can somehow get the name back or something. I mean, otherwise, you're exactly right. You're going to become, virtually an Amazon. Mm-hmm. You're going to become a reseller of another brand.
Right.
Well, Craftsman had 100 years, whatever it was, worth of goodwill built up. I mean, I know that Brennan and I would buy Craftsman specifically because of the warranty. Mm-hmm. And then they started to whittle away at that. It no longer was a lifetime. It was a 1 year. And then you're like, it's still Craftsman. But, I mean, you go to Harbor Freight and virtually find the exact same tool for half the price.
Right, yep.
So it's, unless you're going to buy Snap-on, which, have you ever purchased anything?
No.
Brandon's got he's trying to outfit himself with all of his diesel stuff. In fact, you know what? He enrolled in college. He's going back to school too.
Cool.
So he's going to get his. In fact, he enrolled on Friday. I should have used that as my good thing. I forgot that. I'm sorry. Shout out to him because he's gonna start the diesel tech program there. So he'll be working on both of them.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
in the apprenticeship and getting a degree. So you're young. You got to go do it, right?
Yep,
I mean, he's got energy, he's got time, and he doesn't have any real responsibility.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry, side tangent there. But what reason do we have? Where are they going to find? Where's Sears going to find themselves in that space that we don't already have it needed?
Yep.
I mean, you got Home Depot and Lowe's. That's where you can go find Craftsman now at Lowe's, right?
Lowe's, yep.
And you've got Amazon, which will deliver you anything. You've got the Snap-on, the Macs, and the... what's the other one? Snap-on, Mac, and I think there's a third one that are in the tool delivery service, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Snap-on is just insanely expensive, but it's like the Gucci of tools.
Yeah.
And the guys love it, though.
And then on a more local level, then you've got your mom and pop hardware stores.
Like Park Rose.
Or even like here in town, Washougal Hardware. So if you need like one item, you're not going to go drive a half an hour over, to Sears or Depot or something for one little dinky item that you can get in town. So
so many times you plan for tools, like you either know you're going to do a project or you need it right now. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm going to go do something in the bathroom, and all of a sudden I didn't realize that I need,
it's an emergency.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to do exactly what you just did and run down to the little store here,
thing you can get,
or to Lowe's and Home Depot, which is still not that far away. Right. I mean, it's only 9 miles from us, 10 miles. So it's relatively close rather than going even farther into, and I know geographically speaking, we're not as close as most are to Vancouver Mall, but you would still go to one of those other places.
Yep.
A lot of times people just don't want to go to the mall because it's the mall.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you're probably one of those guys, right?
You know it.
So, we've thoroughly rehashed Toys R Us and Sears. This one I found, next or last story here in the old hot sheet. The world's most expensive island has come up for sale, and I still haven't found the price on it. Do you have the price on it? Mm-hmm. I didn't see what the price on it was.
And it's actually it's a grouping of 4 islands, and they're man-made off the Arabian Peninsula. So you think like the whole Dubai thing where they make their own islands and build the resorts on it. Same kind of deal, same area. The grouping of 4 islands total 660 acres. and it's already got hotels and resorts and nightclubs. It's fully built up and developed, so that you can buy your own turnkey island. Basically,
one of them isn't. The one that one of them that I looked at had artist renderings, but it only had 3 hotels on it so far. Only. But.
So this 660-acre cluster of islands is the equivalent of, because it was listed in pounds or something like that. So the equivalent of or euros maybe of 460 million US.
That's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
I didn't. So when I was looking at all the photographs, which I found to be really cool.
Yeah.
And I'll put links to this up in the show notes. The design, I mean, it's almost reminds you of the old crop circles. Well, the way they do a lot of them, I think I don't know if it's something that has to do with their faith or whatever it might be, but they use circles a lot. And I mean, it really does. Or half moons and all of that kind of stuff. And this group because I believe there was only one of the 4 islands that was up for sale, right?
No, it's the set of 4.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just one.
Maybe I misread it. I thought they were talking. It was all 4 that were up for sale, but I think one of them was fully developed, and the other ones were lesser so.
I thought there was just one. Anyway, regardless, it was 14 miles of beach that it had, and the renderings, because they have all of these built-in coves, but erase all of that. The fact that we're building our own islands, and they're exactly what we need, and I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
the one that's is it in Dubai, where it kind of looks like almost like a fleur-de-lis, a little bit.
Well, it's almost like a palm tree, little
like
fronds.
a palm, exactly.
Yeah, that's Dubai.
Man, that is some cool stuff. This one's in UAE, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's right.
I mean, the photographs itself, I'll include the link and try to put some photos in, because it is so neat what they can do with this kind of stuff. And each one of the properties, like one of them, it looked like had like a business complex, but it was all around the little bay there. So I'm sure, I mean, how cool would that be? You work for Google or Apple, whatever. They put their Middle East HQ right downtown there, or right on this island, and you're like, oh well, I just finished doing that, so I'm going to walk on the beach. I mean, that'd be pretty awesome.
Rough stuff, yeah.
Oh man, I could really get behind that. So, well, that's all we got for the freestyle here, or for the old hot sheet. But we're gonna we're gonna do freestyle, but we'll do it in on the more serious stuff, but we can talk about that or whatever we want to do there. How does that sound?
Yeah, I just got one freestyle topic.
Okay, I've got
we can double back and hit some other stuff.
Yeah, I've got some stuff going down here. What do you got for me?
So freestyle, so we talked about, what I've been talking about a lot is the new football league.
So I have not seen
Alliance of American Football. It is a pretty cool deal. So it's, for those of you that don't know, it's basically like a minor leagues, so to speak, like baseball has its minor leagues. They have a working agreement with the NFL, and this encompasses basically it's post-college guys. So it's older guys that couldn't quite make it in the NFL. There's also a lot of NFL names who are just a little past their prime and trying to maybe make their way back. So it's a good brand of football. It's high quality. It's very similar. It's not like arena football and all the other gimmicky stuff.
No.
It's legit. It's a full size field. Everything's normal, but they do have a few different rules quirks, which are most of them I really like, and it'd be kind of cool to see them, in the NFL. But I think it also helps fill the void too, because right now we're kind of in a dead time of sports. All there is basketball, basically. So the diehard football people are looking for something, and people that like me that like baseball and football. Baseball hasn't quite started yet.
Oh, it started though. We're there. In fact, that was one of the things I was going to bring up was pitchers and catchers report last week.
Yep, and then the full squads are there now.
Yeah,
it's go time. But there's no legit games yet. So.
No.
So let's go to the rules now. A lot of these I like. First one and the big one is there are no kickoffs.
Oh, no.
So
I like that.
They did studies and they found that it's a low percentage play in terms of somebody taking it to the house.
Is it like 3%?
Yeah, and it's also the highest injury play. People smashing into each other at full speed.
Yeah, 15 miles an hour. Yeah. Both of them are running, and they're the most physically fit humans on earth.
Yep. So everything is basically the equivalent of what it would be in the NFL as a touchback. So 25-yard line is where you start. So to start the game, whoever wins the coin toss, they get the ball in 25. After a team scores either a touchdown or a field goal, the other team gets it on the 25 to start their drive. So, and one of their goals behind this league, and a lot of these rules kind of pertain to that, is they want to speed up the game.
Okay.
So by eliminating the kickoffs, that's a time savings, because you had a commercial before the kickoff, then you got the kickoff, then you got another commercial, and then you come back. You wipe all that stuff out now. So their goal is to have the games be under 2.5 hours.
So that's awesome, because that's right around a basketball game. A close basketball game usually comes in like 2:15, somewhere right around there, and I think that's great, because I mean, when you're consuming television in 2019, I'm not talking about 1985, I'm talking about today. 3.5 hours is what the average game is.
It's a long
That's
time.
a hell of a long time to commit. If you got kids and everything else going on, that's a big commitment to make.
So no kickoffs is the first big rule difference, which I like. The second rule difference, which I like a lot, no extra points. You go for 2 every single time. So that is designed also to obviously add more excitement, because extra points are boring, but it's also designed with the thought of speeding up the game, because you're less likely to have a tie, because getting 2 points is more difficult than kicking an extra point. So you're going to have a little more disparity going on.
Mr. S is throwing some shade at you. I like it.
So no extra points. You have to go for 2, which I like a lot. You can still kick field goals if you want, but there's no extra points. There is this was actually kind of cool to see. Also, again, to speeding up the game, there is no like centralized replay like in New York, like in the NFL.
Okay.
There is a replay official at every game sitting up in the booth. So, and they make the call. So if the coach throws a challenge flag or a scoring review fumble, anything like that, the ref up in the booth reviews it on the fly. And the other cool thing, it's kind of gimmicky, but it's obviously meant to attract more viewers, is the replay official in the booth and the ref, while they're communicating, their mics are open, so you can hear what they're talking about. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so this is the only thing I can say to that. It would kind of feel like a what was that? What's that show with Howie Mandel and the cases, where he has to call the banker?
Yeah,
I can kind of see it being like that. Like not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but you know which one I'm talking about. Let's make a deal. No, not let's. Deal or no deal. That's it. Deal or no deal.
So the other thing is that what I advocated for after the Saints debacle, one of the abilities of this replay official in the booth is if he sees something blatant that happened.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
He can buzz the ref, say, hey, stop, we need to take a look at this kind of thing. So that's kind of cool, be able to have an extra set of eyes up high looking down, and if something blatant happens that is missed, then you have the ability to correct it. Next rule is no secondary blitzing. No corner blitzes, no safety blitzes.
Really? Why?
Which I think is probably an injury thing, because there's less speed coming in, flying, and smoking the quarterback is probably what they're looking at. And the other interesting thing is only 5 people can blitz.
Okay. So you always have 7 in coverage? You have theoretically.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're playing a 4-3, the 4 linemen can rush plus only 1 linebacker, or if you're going to play like on a run defense, if you're going to have like 5 down linemen, whatever, those are the only guys that can rush. The linebackers have to stay put. So it's kind of interesting with that.
I'll correct my math and say 6 and not 7.
Yeah, 12 man. Yeah.
I was thinking of Seattle.
Yeah. The next rule change is in overtime. This is kind of a tweak of the college rule, where you start on the 20 or 25. What is it?
25.
20. Yeah, is you start on the 10. So
really?
You're right there. You start on the 10, and no field goals are allowed.
Okay.
And this is again for the sake of time. No field goals are allowed, and each team gets a shot. So
there is no kicking whatsoever in this league.
Field goal. You can do field goals.
Oh, just not in overtime.
Not in overtime.
Oh, okay.
No extra points, no kickoffs, but there is still field goals in regulation. In overtime, there's no field goals. You have to go for it. and each side gets a shot, kind of like you do in college. One side gets a chance, the other side gets a chance to match them. If after each side gets a chance and it's still tied, be it they either score a TD or you both get shut out, game over. Ends in a tie. So see, that, but I think
so. Then I've got to move it back to the 50, or I've got it.
But I think we back up to the whole thing of no extra points. You must go for 2. They think that's going to weed a lot of overtime situations out just by the factor of you going for 2. Because I've seen they've gone through 2 weeks now. There's eight teams in the league, so I've seen most of every single game, and there hasn't been a tie yet, and there's been pretty good points disparity. So I think I don't think that'll ever come to be a big major deal.
Because I don't know when the games are. I mean, I'm so checked out of it now. Like I will watch it. I just honestly haven't thought about it to watch it.
So it's I think they're usually 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
They rotate. NFL Network usually picks up one of them. CBS Sports. I think CBS Sports is like the host network, so I think they usually cover 2 of them.
Well, now didn't CBS? Because you told me last weekend that there was a game on CBS. Right. Was it CBS Sportsnet or CBS?
Both. I think the very first game in Week 1 was on regular CBS. Okay. But then
there was another one though that was
on CBS Sports Network.
Okay, because I went and I looked. Now I remember because it must have been, was it Saturday night? It was either Saturday or Sunday night. You messaged in the chain, and so I went to CBS and I was like,
I think it was
Murder She Wrote or something.
I think it was the morning game on Saturday morning was on regular CBS.
Okay.
But so this past weekend, it was a new one in the mix. It was TNT. So TNT had the first game. NFL Network had, I think, the second game. And then on Sunday, I think both games were on CBS Sports Network.
Okay.
So anyway, then the last rule difference, I think there's a couple other minor ones, but they're pretty minor. But the last major rule difference is onside kicks. There is because there's no kickoffs, so there's no onside kicks. They do it a different way. And there's stipulations to that. You must, if you want to onside, you cannot onside quote unquote kick unless you're trailing by 17 points or more.
Really?
Or if the out of that is if it's less than 5 minutes to go in the game, then there's no stipulation. But at any other point during the game, you can't onside it if you're unless you're down by 17 or more. So the whole thing now with the onside, it's kind of weird. But this one's kind of cool. So now that you can't kick it, so the way they onside it is the team that wants to onside it, they get the ball on their own 28-yard line. How they came up with this, I don't know. So you start on your own 28-yard line, and it's 4th and 12. If you convert the 4th and 12, you get to keep going. If they stop you, they get the ball on the spot. That's kind of a cool deal.
I dig that one.
But it's how they came up with the 28-yard line and 4th and 12 is kind of funny. But so it's you get the ball on your own 28, you face a 4th and 12 right out of the gate. If you get a first down, you get to keep on going your merry way.
I like that. In fact, I like all of those. We go back to the kickers. My dad has always said, and I think this is a really cool idea, if you can, on a kickoff, kick it through the goalpost, you get a point.
Well, yeah.
I think that would be cool. Like, everything is either a touchback or you can score the point. So you get the kicker out there and you just heave one off. And if you can hit a 65-yard field goal, you get a point.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I mean, I always thought that was a great idea on his part. But to kind of what Mr. Essa said here on the feed, says I think they should allow extra points, but only if they have to drop kick it old time. So I don't know if you saw this I believe it was the Saints lost their kick. Anyway, somebody in the playoff lost.
No, the Seahawks. The Seahawks punter is an Australian rugby guy, so he drop kicks. When Seabass went down.
Yeah. So he
was pulled his hand,
exactly,
and the punter had to come in and drop kick. Yeah, because he's an Aussie.
Off the ground though, when it would drop, hit the ground, and then he would kick it.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
He was
which he's used to because he's a rugby guy, and that's what they do in rugby. So.
Yeah, no, I just thought the whole thing was really cool. Well, I was
going to say, so the onside quote-unquote kick, eliminating that goes with the eliminating the kickoffs. That is, an actual onside kick is a very low percentage play, and just why bother kind of thing.
Well, it went down. They changed the rules this year even more.
Because you can't stack the one side.
Exactly.
You got to have even splits or whatever. So.
That was like 2.5 or 3% was the success rate on them this year, I believe.
They eliminated the very low probability stuff, that being kickoffs, taking it all the way back. That's a rarity, and a recovering of an onside kick. And by doing so, they've also shaved off some time by eliminating those kinds of plays too.
Well, and to your point on the kickoff and things like that, the only thing we're doing is using the restroom, getting another drink, getting some food, BSing, something like that. Nothing of. And
then now, what has it been like 4 or 5 years, maybe in the NFL since they've moved the line of scrimmage up? Everything's pretty much a touchback now. Yeah. So it's just a totally wasted play.
Well, and you combine that with the fact that these guys can kick the ball out of the stadium dang near. I mean, it only makes sense that they're going to have a touchback unless they want that particular play to occur.
So obviously the NFL likes it because that's an extra commercial break for them. They can throw in there if they keep the kickoffs. But anyway, so that's the gist of this new league. It's really high quality play. It's not a far drop from the NFL at all. There's some incredible plays I've seen just in these first 2 weeks.
They've got names that you recognize, and so whether it's somebody that may have been in the league for 5-10 years, whatever it may be, and I don't know what kind of money these guys are making.
That's the other thing; they all make the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone in the entire league?
Everyone. They are all on 3-year contracts at
guaranteed.
I think maybe the first year's guarantee. I can't remember. So it's 3 years and $250 or $270K
a year.
Over
3
years.
Ooh.
And there's an opt out. There's an automatic opt out clause that if an NFL team comes knocking, you're free to leave.
Okay, I'll give you. But is there some kind of opportunity for profit sharing?
There's awesome bonuses too.
Okay.
So if. But they didn't disclose the dollar amounts on the bonuses, just that there are bonuses. But one of them is if you get a sack, the whole defense gets the bonus. So like $50. So the whole defense gets 50.
Oh, so it's kind of like the way the Saints run stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah. Very funny. So, and then I think the same thing with like a pick or a fumble, the whole defense, and I think there's offensive bonuses too.
But is there a shot for somebody to make $200K in a year? Something like that. I
don't know how much those bonuses are, so I don't know if you could or not. But obviously, they're trying to stay in shape and keep their name out there and display their skills.
Oh, absolutely.
Because obviously, scouts are going to be watching them. But one of the things, and then all the head coaches are known. All with exception of one. Steve Spurrier, Rick Neuheisel, Dennis Mike Riley, Dennis
so
Erickson,
basically half of the Oregon State coaching
Mike
staff.
Singletary is a coach. So
boy, he had a rough go of it. He's one of those guys that he was meant to be a coordinator.
Yeah.
I don't know that Mike was meant to be a head coach because it was...
And me, with my bias towards UCLA, it's kind of cool. Neuheisel, not that I'm a Neuheisel fan, but he was the UCLA coach. Neuheisel coaches the Arizona team, and he stacked it. There's like 5 UCLA guys on there. He brought all his boys into play. So all the guys that I, from like 5-6 years ago that I used to see playing for UCLA are now on this team. So it's kind of fun. It's like a little mini UCLA team he's got going there.
I tell you, one of the best... Where was Neuheisel coaching? I think it was UCLA. It must have been.
It was UW before that.
It was.
And then Colorado before that or after. It was Colorado, UW, and then UCLA.
So this was back in 2000, either 98, 99, 2000, right when Oregon State was making the turn.
Yeah, so that was before UCLA for him. So he may have been UW.
Then it was UW.
Something. Yeah.
And Oregon State went up 44-0 on whichever new Weasel. I think it was UW.
I think so. Yeah.
And that was one of like the most. Holy crap, is this actually happening? Because we're the Beavers. I mean, we never expected to do anything. So I'll bet you it was 98. It was either 98 or 99. And it was pandemonium because I was there at the stadium. And they handed out at halftime. I can remember that. I was there with my dad. And they handed out like the sheets of all the statistics at halftime. They walked around the stadium like they ran the Ditto machine.
Yeah.
They handed them all up because it was, I mean, I think it was like the greatest half in Oregon State history or something like that, which there were probably a few years where we didn't score that many points the entire season. Let alone in one half. So anyway, no, that I'm excited for the league. I think that there is an appetite for football that is outside of the NFL.
And one thing I forgot to mention is their viewership is huge too. They're getting good ratings. One of the funny things is from this last weekend is San Antonio, and I think Mike Riley is who coaches San Antonio. Okay. They play in the Alamo Dome, the old school dome. Their week one they were on the road, so yesterday was their first home game, and they packed it. There was 29,000 people there.
Wow!
And there was an article online that threw some shade at the Chargers. Is that the Chargers drew half of that the entire season, every game. So I mean, here's this minor league team that's doubling the attendance of the Chargers.
But let's keep everything equal in that if you saw the Chargers are in LA. LA they didn't even really care that the Rams were in the damn Super Bowl compared to whether it was the Saints or whoever was in the playoffs. Because if there's any more laissez-faire fan base, it's got to be in LA.
And one of the other teams in this league is in San Diego. So San Diego got one of these teams, and they were outdrawing the Chargers. So that's pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Chargers had a hell of a year.
Yeah,
I think next year they've got. I mean, they better watch out. I think the Chargers have a legit shot next year at making some noise and possibly making at least the championship game.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, so no, I'm excited for it, and I'm gonna. How many games? What's the schedule?
It's 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Eight teams, 10 weeks.
See, here's the issue though: is these guys have what everyone else probably is wishing or is desiring, and that's that they're the first one. There's 3 more leagues coming behind this.
But I think those ones are more gimmicky, where this one's more true to form.
Yeah, no,
and it's more like a minor leagues kind of a deal.
This one it seems to have the most, it's the best put together. Mm-hmm. It's got the best coaches so much. It's not WWE.
Right.
And I'm sure the XFL is going to have a place, okay? Because like NBA Jam and NFL Blitz for video games, when those came out, everyone thought, oh, no one's going to pay attention. Well, as long as you don't get to let the money get out of control, which is what usually sinks most of these things because people get greedy, but I think they can all have a place. But yeah, we'll have a total of 4 leagues, I think, in the next 2 years.
That's right, yeah.
But if I had to guess, this is going to be the one that, it's got the best production value, it's got a legitimate TV contract, and it's got people. I mean, when I was reading about it, like I said, I haven't seen a game, but I mean, I knew who they were.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They came from Alabama or Ohio State or wherever it might be.
And
it wasn't
the fact
Arthritis
that they have
Tech and Happy Normal.
They have a loose affiliation with the NFL too, so they've got that going with them. And then because Bill Polian, the former Colts GM, he's the top dog in this new league. And then they've got on their board of directors, it's like Troy Polamalu and Hines Ward, a couple of the old Steelers players. So I mean, they've got a whole bunch of ex-NFL guys, both in the front office and playing still. So
really.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to get into the crazy stuff that I had sitting here because it just will go down a rabbit hole. But I wanted to tell you about this this documentary I watched this weekend called "Abducted in Plain Sight." So I'm going to give credit to Pardon My Take because I heard them talking about this first because it's the most. you watch these documentaries, like the one on the Rajneeshis, okay, the Wild Wild Country, or you watch the what the hell was the pizza delivery murder guy, that whole hoax.
Oh
setup,
yeah,
okay?
wow, yeah, I remember that one.
The guy that got his head blown off or whatever, or had the
bomb around.
Yeah, the bomb neck bomber.
Yeah.
This one, I don't want to get too crazy into it. It's the most messed up. How people can allow this stuff to happen to their children. I mean, just to give you a clue at the craziness, these folks' daughter got kidnapped by a guy that they knew. They knew him well. He was a family friend. They didn't go to the cops for 5 days until after he took her. And I believe it was 2 weeks before they actually announced it to people. Crazy part, he abducted her more than once. I'm not kidding you. It's WTF is what this thing should be called. It was insane.
Where is it at?
In Idaho. Pocatello, Idaho is where it took place. It's every moment. It one-ups itself. Like, there's no way it can get crazy. Holy jeez. But it's the naivety of the folks involved, the implicit trust that they gave this person and some other people, and I'm at a loss for words at what these people were. How much I love that we have forgiveness in the world. We need it, especially now. This level of forgiveness was like 8,000 times higher than what you would ever do. If somebody took your kid, how do you let them take your kid again? And this kid was like 12.
How long ago was this?
This was, well, see, the lady that got abducted was in it. She was, I mean, she recounted the whole story. And so she was 12 and 13 over the course of it. So I want to say this was in the 70s.
No, so a while back ago.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a long time ago. I want to say she was probably in her mid-50s, maybe close to 60, somewhere around there. So it has been quite some time since it took place. But I highly recommend it if you guys are out there, or gals, want to. It's not something that you want to watch with your kids. No, there was nothing, crazy sexual or anything like that. But it was. It just is unsettling.
Yeah.
But mainly it's like, wow. Yeah, you just got to watch it. I mean, I like the guys on PMT said, it just is one of those wow moments. Like, how did these things happen?
Yeah.
How do people allow themselves to be taken advantage of like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I thought that was absolutely incredible. But well, I don't think we're going to have a very hard time filling up our new show, because we can new show, old show, where all the shows we're going to have fun with this. And so yeah, the new schedule, you'll see Wes and I will be back on the air on Mondays and Thursdays now for all of your listening pleasure. We'll have this show will remain KCP. The new show, we have not solidified a name on that yet, but we'll have that before Thursday. I promise you that. It will still release on the KCP channel. We won't have a new channel for that one. We'll release it under the same thing. Everything else will be the same. We've got Platinum Moms will be out this week. KCP Kids will be out now that we'll get the schedules. We're going to do KCP Kids tomorrow night, because otherwise we go.
There's no time.
Yeah, 4 games in 6 days. So then after that we'll be looking for basketball camps, all that kind of stuff. So if anyone out there watching or listening knows of good basketball camps in the area, or wrestling camps, anything like that, shoot me an email, will@kineticchaos.com. I'd appreciate that. So you got anything else?
I got nothing.
You got nothing? No. As you can see, we have an homage. We need to come up with another bet. What are we going to bet on?
Yeah, I know.
We need to come up with something. We were going to talk about a weight loss bet, which I'm up to negotiating. We don't have quite enough time today to do it, but we need to come up with something else because these bets are a lot of fun.
They are.
But anyway,
because you keep winning, that's why they're fun.
I am 2 for 1 or 2 for 3, but the never forget homage in front of West, the 3 wise men. So at least there's 3 out of the 5 men in here. But anyway, so we'll have to think up some fun bets. And we got some, the weather's going to break soon. We can get back to the cooking
back out
show.
there and get the smoker
back outside,
up.
Get the smoker. And we got some food reviews to do too. That's what we need to lock down is when we get over to, what is it, EEG or EEG or
EEM.
EEM for Matt's barbecue place. So anyway, with that, nothing else?
Nothing.
This has been Kinetic Chaos Podcast number 74. We thank you very much for listening, and we will see you on Thursday.
See you later.
We go.
All right, guys.
Facebook, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, shitter down.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.